what is architecture. It's sounds strange. The real important part of architecture is invisible. It is people and their behavior. Architecture is only the packing of it. The architecture without the people, it's inexistent. Only living people make it valid. And this is really the difficulty. As living people behave many ways, how can this packing be adapted to it? Architecture, buildings without people, they are ruins. They are inexistent. And that's really the difficulty of the trade theater. And then it comes logically that what can architects do? Okay, if you are asking a merchant at the market, how are you packing a thing? He will tell you, oh, but I have to know what do I have packing. So that's with architects. How can this packing get adapted to the reality, to real life? And this is where mainstream architecture has the difficulty. It cannot be adapted, but people behave all the time differently in the morning and the evening, in summer, in winter, if they are excited. How can architecture adapt to this? Okay, that the decision leave to the people. You know, in this room, there is furniture. From the time we got here, a few hours ago, the furniture changed the place. So that's what architects can do, to conceive systems which can be transformed. In the technologies of the past, this was practically impossible. Today it is possible. And that's what I am trying to work on. How to make it that people should transform all the time architecture. And this raises another problem, which is incredibly important related to this. If I am buying something at the market, I am paying for the something which has a value, and the packing is negligible. With architecture, mainstream architecture, the situation was the opposite. The architecture, the packing, had a cost range 100 times higher than what it contained. So, to do this, that the architecture should adapt to people, it has to change the price range. That means I am looking for architecture to do in a way that doesn't cost more than ordinary furniture, changing the price range. And this is absolutely imperative. People very often feel themselves poor because they can't pay the packing. And this is economic absurdity in our technological world. So I think it is quite important that search and tests should be done how to arrive to, to make architecture manageable with simplicity and on a low cost range. You see, to push around a chair or a furniture, you don't need to be expert. Anybody can do it. So that's what I am trying to arrive. Okay, I was doing my own experiments in the field. This is a sample that it's possible, but the range, what can be invented, it's enormous. And when I'm speaking to young architects, I think this is open and try to have your ideas. And so I have very often answers from anywhere in the world. By email today it's easier, and okay, I can answer, and they send me their ideas. So what architects should do today, really, to get somehow in conversation with reality and not using the dogmas as it was in the past. And that's the reason I am not proposing dogmas, but telling, try it.
And so what is your design method? So how do you designing it?
I'm sorry. The design method. Yeah. So I was trying to do a unit, this furniture, and the space before it. I am calling it Möbel Plus, Furniture Plus. It's a very small, if you want, a cube. And I'm doing this, and these cubes then can be assembled. That means I'm looking at the house not as an assembly of rooms and everything, but assembly of these basic cubes. And that's very, very inexpensive. We produce these basic cubes for 150 euros a piece. Mm-hmm. That's a refugee can have. Can you imagine that for refugees you give this 150 euro cube and try to install yourself? It's human, not like a dance and try to install. And I think about the refugee problem, that it is an exceptional laboratory, the biggest social laboratory of the world. Don't forget that Rome started as a refugee asylum. All the big cities of the United States were immigrants, tentatives, and they got to a style, whatever it is. I don't know what will people invent now, but they are there. Let them try to participate in collective invention. And instead of putting them in sort of army barracks, and that's possible. If it was possible 2,000 years ago, it is possible.